City change, of course, obviously the research question is what is the impact of urban interventions on the built environment, which might sound like a tautology, like of course it's going to change the built environment, but the question is a little bit different than that. And it does connect to the strategic approach of the city and the generation of the comprehensive plan introduced in 2010, which really focuses on how we can change the city by change existing areas of the city by building in between and making connections and so on. So it's a central piece of the urban development strategy of Stockholm, which is also very much centered around the housing problem and segregation and so on. So this important piece of the strategy, how can we make change to all of Stockholm by building in particular places, becomes a fundamental question. But then also the question is, how does that work? Right? What happens when we drop a building or a building project down like this, and what happens around it? How does it spread like rings across the water? Is this good or is it bad? Does it cause, what kind of change does that? If we put big projects or medium projects or small projects in different areas of the city, looking at it not only as where these projects are, this is a teaser also of the projects we will be looking closer at together with Stockholm City in the coming, but not only looking, or actually not looking at the particular projects themselves and what they do, but rather what do they do to their surroundings? How do the sort of effects spread? What happens with population, with business models, with price levels and so on, which we're studying then in two parallels currently, which we will be integrating in the coming, but it's one that focuses on demographic and properties and affordance levels, for instance, and the other one that is focusing more on economic activities and business turnover and so on.
Thank you, Daniel. So in this particular research track, we were understanding how new housing would transform a neighborhood's commercial landscape. A neighborhood's commercial landscape is a proxy for vibrancy, vitality, and energy in a neighborhood. But little is known exactly how new housing could transform this, especially across different income groups. So we have two key objectives. How do new housing projects contribute to business activity and diversity? A neighborhood that has ethnic restaurants and international cultural offerings is positive for neighborhoods. And secondly, we want to understand how this effect is across different income groups. So how do we do this? We combine three main data sources. We have 1,200 housing projects that has number of units, room, and size that I got from my friend Lucas. We have 100,000 businesses that we can measure turnover, number of employees, opening and closures of different business types, construction, manufacturing, retail, and restaurants. And we also have 1 million images from Google Street View, where we apply artificial intelligence to extract the expressed language from neighborhoods. We can find whether it's Chinese, Arabic, Swedish, or English, and this acts as our cultural diversity score for neighborhoods across the whole of Stockholm. And our results are quite interesting, actually. So these are just some snapshots into our results. In the top graph, you see turnover for high income, and the bottom graph for low income. And we can start to see, actually, from 300 meters to 600 meters, we can see that income increases for high income areas quite significantly. But actually, for low income areas, especially between 0 and 300 meters from housing projects, we see a decrease in turnover. And these go into many more details about the type of business, which I can speak after as well. But in terms of language diversity, we actually see a large increase in the local vicinities of these housing projects from 0 to 300 meters. And initially, these results are starting to reveal an impact that we can see a difference between how housing projects can impact different communities across the city of Stockholm. Thank you.
Thank you. So the second part of the project is more looking into, it's the same housing projects, but we are looking into the socioeconomic population in the area, the spillover effect on the population. So we are looking at a number of different things. We're looking at income, affordability, educational level, and the age of the population. So we're taking a subsample of the 1,200. So we're looking at 200 constructions over the period of 2011 and 2014. So we have looking at 200 projects. We have some rental projects. We have owner-occupied rental cooperative apartments projects. So we're looking at 200, and then we're looking at the income affordability, and affordability combining the income and the price level in the region, in the surrounding areas. And then we're looking at the people with a population with a 3-year college degree and younger persons are 25 to 44. So that's younger persons. So now we have the definition of younger persons. That's good. The rest of us is older than that. So what we're looking, this is one part of the project. This is north of Bromma Airport and south of Bellstaån is Annedal. We have a lot of projects in that area. So what we are doing in that area, we are making a circles around them. And look, okay, here we have an area where we can have some impact, and then we have a surrounding area where we don't expect to have any impact from this project. So we're trying to see if is this, in a statistical sense, any impact at all. So the results looks like this. So in each figure here, we can look at three different things. When we're looking at income, we can see that income level increase in Stockholm overall. So that's the positive trend here. What we can see also is that the orange line is the housing projects, and the blue line is non-housing projects. So it means that for income, we have built in areas where the income is lower than in comparable areas. So we mostly built in the suburbs, so that the income level in those areas are lower than the rest of Stockholm. And then we can see after period that income is higher in the areas where we have built housing. So it means that we have a change in the people living in the surrounding of the projects, and they have a higher income than compared to if they don't have a project. So we have an positive income effects built in the surrounding of the housing projects. When it comes to affordability, we can see that affordability has decreased in Stockholm, so it's less affordable now over time. We can see that we have built in areas where the affordability is lower than the average. Sorry, that's the timing. But we can see that over time that we are closing the gap. So the project in itself, they had increased, in relative terms, increased affordability. Still, we have a lower affordability in the city as a whole, but the project in itself don't drive non-affordability. So we can see more affordable housing around that. When it comes to educational level and younger population, we don't see any effect. We can see that on the trend is more people have a higher education, and we can also see that Stockholm is younger compared to before. But we cannot see that when it comes to educational level, we have built an area on the average. When it comes to the younger population, we can see that we have built in areas where we have more younger people compared to the rest of Stockholm. But it's a parallel trend, so it doesn't have any impact on the proportion of younger people. So we say that the housing projects have an impact on income, affordability, prices, but we cannot see any impact on educational level and population so far.
I'll just say two wrap-up words, which is to remind everybody in the room, of course, that seeing these positive and negative trends is not a value statement. It's a relation to levels of economics, level of income, levels of affordability, and so on. Whether this is a positive or negative change, of course, depends on many things. Individual persons, their life situation, what they want, where they're going, and so on. But also, of course, what the city wants to achieve, because all of these projects have, of course, intended and unintended consequences. And this is where we really want to support the city in being able to be more precise with what kind of projects have what kind of effect on the surrounding.